After finishing the 1965 season as the nation's only major undefeated team, Dartmouth was the target for every team on the schedule of 1986. The Indians opened the season by entering a very big University of Massachusetts team, which in recent years has dominated the Yankee Conference made up of the state universities in New England. The Indians start off by operating from a slot I formation. On his first ball-carrying attempt, Gene Reisowitz rips a round end for 13 yards. The Dartmouth defense, which was considered a question mark, showed early that it was going to be tough. On this play, the Massachusetts ball carrier was piled for a loss by Bill Brandt, Mike Westfall, and Bruce Smith. The first TD of the season was scored by the defensive team. Safety man Sam Hawken fields a Massachusetts punt, runs through several tacklers, and then receives some fine blocks that enable him to go all the way for the touchdown. Bill Hay added the extra point to put the Big Green out in front 7-0. The Massachusetts attack is again stymied as McElrath, Johnson, Smith, and Westfall all get in on the tackle. Massachusetts All-League quarterback Greg Landry continues to meet with frustration as Dartmouth roving back Steve Luxford shoots through to spill the play for a 16-yard loss. On the first attack following Hawkins' touchdown run, Reisowitz shifts to right half, then takes the ball back to the left. Gene uses a little fancy footwork and suddenly breaks into the open, going all the way 64 yards for a touchdown. Bill Hay's second extra point gives the Big Green a 14-0 lead. The Indians continue their deceptive pattern of constantly shifting formations as Walton and Reisowitz move to the left. Gene then hits back over right guard through a hole opened by Matuzik and Paulson and darts for 23 yards. Defensive right end Randy McElrath shows his great quickness and lateral movement as he reacts out to spill Landry for another loss shortly before the half. In the third quarter, quarterback Mickey Beard starts a long drive as he sprints out to the left, then throws back to right end Bill Calhoun. Watch Dartmouth's pulling guards as left half Jimmy Mentor carries 16 yards on a beautifully executed counter play. On the next play, right end Calhoun and fullback Walton do a tremendous job of double-team blocking as Mentor rolls around end for another 15 yards. This 70-yard drive was climaxed when senior kicking specialist Bill Hay came in to boot a perfect field goal. In the final quarter, Massachusetts scores a touchdown, but they are thrown for so many losses that they wind up with a total rushing yardage of only 42 yards. In the second game of the season, Dartmouth traveled to Worcester, Massachusetts to meet a powerful Holy Cross team in their homecoming game. The Crusaders had played a very close game with Army the previous week, and they were sky high for this game as they had not beaten Dartmouth in 5 years. It was a cold, rainy day, but Beard took to the air early as he completed this pass to Captain Bill Calhoun for 12 yards. The Big Green defensive team dominated the first quarter as they kept the Crusaders deep in their own territory. Corky Johnson, Bruce Smith, Norm Davis, and Steve Luxford were all in on this tackle. The Crusaders could not complete a single pass in the game. This one was almost picked off by Luxford. In the second quarter, Holy Cross recovered a fumble on the Dartmouth 30. 8 plays later, Jack Lentz, the outstanding Holy Cross quarterback, went in to give the Crusaders a 7-0 lead. Beard fakes to Walton but pitches out to Reisowitz, who carries all the way to the Crusader 22-yard line. A field goal attempt by Bill Hay misses by inches, so the Green still trails 7-0 at the half. In the third quarter, Pete Walton snared a pass from Beard and carried to the 30 before being stopped. Another Dartmouth drive, highlighted by this 33-yard pass from Beard to McLeod, ended in frustration with another missed field goal attempt. In the fourth quarter, Beard filled the air with passes, although the rain continued to come down in a steady downpour. Gene Reisowitz took this delayed toss all the way to the 11. Once again, Beard goes back to throw and picks out big Bob McLeod on the 3. Pete Walton then smashes over guard to go in for the touchdown. Although Bill Hay is automatic on extra point attempts, the Indians play to win and go for the 2-point conversion with a pass play. McLeod had the ball in his hands, but it jarred loose and Dartmouth still trails 7-6. An attempted onside kickoff fails, and the Crusader punt sets Dartmouth back deep in its own territory. The Indians are still fighting to win, however, and Walton goes out of bounds to stop the clock after taking a pass from Beard. Beard then throws to Bob McLeod for another first down, but time runs out and Dartmouth's longest in the nation winning streak comes to an end by a single point. It was a beautiful, warm, sunny afternoon when Dartmouth started the Ivy League season by entertaining the Princeton Tigers. Princeton got off to a 7-0 lead in the first 4 minutes of play, but it took the Big Green team exactly 3 plays to come back and even the score. Right end Bill Calhoun and right tackle Hank Paulson wipe out the Tigers' 250-pound tackle as Beard runs the option play and pitches to Clungness for 7 yards. Running from a double wing on the following play, Beard tosses to Reisowitz, takes a handback from Gene, and then throws to right end Bill Calhoun on a play good for 51 yards. With first down on the 11-yard line, Beard fakes off tackle to Gene Reisowitz and then throws a jump pass to Paul Clungness for the touchdown. Bill Hay adds the extra point. After their initial drive, the Tigers are unable to make another first down in the first half. On this play, linebacker Norm Davis spills the Princeton tailback for a yard loss. When the Indians next get the ball, they again march right downfield on simple plays, such as this 10-yard smash by Clungness. On the next play, fullback Pete Walton finds a big hole off tackle and rolls for 13 yards. It takes but 2 more smashes at the line for Pete to cover the remaining distance and go in for the touchdown. When the Indians next have the ball, Walton hits into the line, but the ball is slipped to Gene Reisowitz, who darts around end for 18 yards before being knocked out of bounds. At the start of the second quarter, Beard rides the ball to Walton, then fakes a pitch out to Reisowitz before turning upfield and racing for 31 yards himself. With the ball on the 10-yard line, Bill Hay comes in and boots a field goal to give the Indians a 17-7 lead. The Princeton single-wing attack can't get started as Dartmouth linebackers Norm Davis and Bruce Smith blitz to spill the Tigers' passer for a loss. The Big Green comes right back to score again as Beard lofts a beautiful pass, and Bill Calhoun takes it in full stride to go for a touchdown on a play very similar to last year's 79-yard touchdown bomb against the Tigers. The Big Green makes still another drive downfield with one of the big gains being this pass from Mickey Beard to Gene Reisowitz. With only seconds remaining in the half, a fake field goal attempt. Bill Robb throws a pass to Paul Clungness, who can't quite hold it, but Dartmouth has a 24-7 halftime lead. First play, third quarter. Paul Clungness hits back to the left with the ball. Left tackle Skip Small and left end Bob McLeod do a great job of blocking. Clungness races down the sidelines for 55 yards. On the next play, Gene Reisowitz starts off tackle. He suddenly swings out around end, outfakes one man, then outraces 2 others into the end zone. It has taken the Big Green's explosive offense just 2 plays to score in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, Reisowitz at quarterback, Beard at tailback. On the first play, the ball is centered to Beard, who fires a pass to Calhoun, good for 16 yards and a first down. Great pursuit by defensive players such as Giff Foley and Dan Cooperman kept the Princeton single-wing attack in check most of the second half. The final figures show that the Indians ground out an amazing 511 yards of total offense, and this was Dartmouth's 5th victory in the last 6 years over the Princeton Tigers. It was another beautiful autumn day with a temperature in the 70s when the Brown University team came to Hanover to meet the Indians. Paul Clungness took the opening kickoff and received some great blocking as he raced straight up the middle for 52 yards. On the following play, Matuzik, Kirkpatrick, Paulson, and Walton open a hole, and Reisowitz shoots up the middle for another first down. The exciting Big Green team keeps the crowd on its feet as Gene Reisowitz takes a handoff from Mickey Beard, then flips a lateral back to Beard for another big gain. On the next play, Beard fakes to Clungness, then throws to Reisowitz. Gene is cornered by 3 men but somehow eludes them all and goes in for the touchdown. Bill Hayes' extra point makes it 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. The Indians go on the rampage again in the second quarter as the belly option play baffles the brown end and Pete Walton rolls for 16 yards. The Indians make even a routine play look spectacular as Reisewitz finds the inside jammed up, swings wide, then laterals back to Beard. On the next play, the Dartmouth line does a tremendous job of blocking as fullback Pete Walton drives in for the touchdown. Beard then fakes a pass and takes off around right end for 18 yards with Calhoun, Sjogren, and Reisewitz all throwing key blocks. On the next play, Walton drives down to the 3. Denny McNeely then fakes into the line so realistically that the Brown team was full completely, and Beard trots into the end zone untouched, Dartmouth leading 21-7 at halftime. The Big Green team took the second half kickoff and covered the length of the field in 5 plays, 28 yards eaten up on this power sweep with Lundquist, Sjogren, Walton, and Beard throwing key blocks for Reisewitz. The touchdown comes as Beard fakes to Reisewitz hitting off tackle, then throws to sophomore Randy Wallach, who makes a beautiful diving catch in the end zone. The next time the Indians have the ball, it takes but 4 plays to cover the 72 yards for the touchdown. Swivel-hip Gene Reisewitz covers 22 yards on this play, then is mad at himself that he doesn't go all the way. Sophomore Bob Lundquist then rips off 25 yards as fullback Pete Walton's block eliminates 2 men. The ball is then given to the 230-pound Walton on a quick trap up the middle, and he runs like a scat-back as he weaves 22 yards for a touchdown. The Dartmouth first team leaves the game, but the Indian subs use the same wide-open attack to dazzle the Bruins. Bill Robb fakes to fullback Vic Chaltain, then pitches out to Jim Mentor, who covers 50 yards before being knocked out of bounds. On the next play, Mentor returns the favor as he hits into the line, tosses a lateral back to Robb, who trots in for the touchdown. Here, Woodworth, Courtney, Skinner, and Chaltain open a hole as Bob Lundquist pops through for 16 yards. Jim Mentor smashes in for the touchdown, and Bill Hayes' 7th straight extra point gives Dartmouth a 49-14 win. For the second week in a row, the Big Green's spectacular offense has accounted for over 500 yards. The Dartmouth-Harvard game was televised throughout the East, but tickets to the game were still at a premium as Harvard Stadium was a complete sellout. It was obvious that the Harvard team was going to be fired up as they had not been able to score upon Dartmouth in the past 2 years, and they still remembered the 48-0 pasting they had taken before a large television audience 2 years previously. Gene Reisewitz is greatly hampered with an injured foot, but on the second play of the game he shows he is still dangerous as he darts around end for 8 yards. On the next play, Paul Klungnes hits off tackle for a first down, but receives a knee injury and is lost for the remainder of the game. Another first down is made as Beard throws a quick sprint-out pass to Reisewitz. A fumble stops this opening drive. On the first play, when the Indians next have the ball, fullback Pete Walton smashes off tackle and cuts back for 12 yards. Reisewitz picks up 7, and then Beard runs the option play, pitching out to Jim Mentor. Key blocks are thrown by McLeod, Reisewitz, Small, and Walton as Mentor goes for 21 yards. It looks like the same option play in the other direction as Beard pitches to Reisewitz, but this time Reisewitz throws to Bob McLeod, who makes a diving catch for a 15-yard gain. But once again, a fumble stops a big Dartmouth drive. Lightning suddenly strikes as Harvard's ace halfback Bobby Leo starts to the right, then cuts back in the clear. This is the first time in several years that a long run has been made against the Dartmouth defense. Win Mabry makes a diving tackle, but it's too late, and Harvard goes out in front 7-0. Once again, quarterback Mickey Beard runs the option play, but this time he keeps and turns upfield for 14 yards. On the next play, the Indian backfield starts to the left, but the ball is given to Gene Reisewitz, hitting back to the right on a scissors play. On the following play, Beard fakes a pass, then slips the ball to Mentor, who churns up the middle for a first down. At the start of the second quarter, Beard fakes a pitch out to Mentor and then fires a pass to Bob McLeod, good for 20 yards. On the next play, Mickey Beard singles out his other end and rifles a pass to Bill Calhoun for 15 yards. Right end Calhoun cracks in on the Harvard defensive end, and Sjogren and Walton also throw good blocks as Reisewitz rambles for 12 yards. Mickey Beard starts off an 84-yard Dartmouth drive with this pass to Bob McLeod. On the next play, Mickey fakes the pitch out and turns upfield himself for 12 yards. Mixing his plays beautifully, Beard then gives the ball to Pete Walton on a quick trap up the middle, and Big Pete drives for 16. For the fourth play in a row, the Indians make a first down as quarterback Beard passes to McLeod for another 15 yards. Reisewitz and Walton each pick up 5-yard gains, and then Mickey Beard scores on a great individual effort as he dives into the end zone for the touchdown. Bill Hayes' extra point notched the score at 7-7. Early in the second half, Harvard tries to go for yardage on a fourth down play. Vic Gatto is spilled for a yard loss by Pete Lawrence and Gordy Rule, and the Big Green takes over. A big gainer is this pass from Beard to Calhoun. Captain Calhoun had been unable to practice all week because of a painful hip point injury, but played the entire game. Another big gain is made when Walton hits up the middle while Beard is faking a pitch out to Reisewitz. With a first down on the 1, Gene Reisewitz goes in for the touchdown. Hay adds the extra point to give the Big Green a 14-7 lead. When Harvard next has the ball, their sophomore right halfback is dropped for a 5-yard loss on a beautiful open field tackle by Steve Luxford. The Harvard quarterback is then snowed under for an 8-yard loss by an all-out rush by Bill Egling and Dan Cooperman. When the Indians next gain possession, Reisewitz takes a pitch from Beard and heads off tackle. He then flips a lateral back to Mickey, who goes for 20 yards. A few plays later, the Green again loses the ball on a fumble. On Harvard's first play, linebacker Norm Davis spills the ball carrier. On a crucial third down play, a pass interference penalty is called against Dartmouth. At the start of the fourth quarter, Harvard halfback Vic Gatto does a fine job of reversing his field and gets back almost to the line of scrimmage. Perhaps the key play of the game occurs a few plays later with the ball on the Dartmouth 10. Gatto fumbles, and it appears that Mike Westfall curls completely around the ball 2 yards inbounds. It is ruled he recovered the ball out of bounds, however, and Harvard retains possession. On the next play, Harvard throws a pass for a touchdown to bring the score to 14-13. Pete Walton smashes off tackle for 12 yards, but a few plays later, Dartmouth is forced to punt for only the second time in the game. Harvard then retains possession of the ball for almost 8 minutes. With only a minute and a half left, their quarterback Rick Zimmerman scores to put the Crimson out in front. The Indians never give up, however. The kickoff is taken by sophomore Bob Lundquist, who reverses the ball to Gene Reisewitz. Reisewitz then stops and throws a long crossfield lateral back to Lundquist, who streaks up the sideline for 40 yards before being stopped by the final Harvard defender. Beard completes a pass to Reisewitz, but time runs out and the Big Green goes down to defeat. The final score is 19-14. Dartmouth has lost its first Ivy League game in 2 years. It's also Coach Blackman's first loss in the 21 times his teams have appeared on television. On October 29th, both Dartmouth and Yale are fighting for survival in the race for the Ivy title. There are 55,000 people in the Yale Bowl, the largest crowd at any game in the East up until that time. Yale scores first, but Dartmouth comes back fighting and covers 77 yards in just 8 plays. The march is started off by this screen pass from Mickey Beard to Gene Reisewitz. After several good gains on the ground, Beard fakes to Walton and then throws to Bill Calhoun for 22 yards. Klungness makes a first down on a reverse, and then fullback Pete Walton crashes off tackle for 13 more yards. On the next play, it appears that Beard is again going to give the ball to Walton, but instead he rolls back and throws to sophomore Randy Wallach for a touchdown. When the Big Green team next has the ball, it takes but 3 plays to cover 62 yards. Captain Bill Calhoun makes a great catch on this pass after Beard had first faked to Reisowitz. Beard completely fools the Yale end as he appears to give the ball to Walton, but then keeps it himself running wide. After sprinting up the field 15 yards, Mickey laterals to Reisowitz. Gene covers the final 27 yards by out-faking the last Yale defender. Bill Hay's extra point makes it 14-7. Yale scores again to make it 14-13, but on this play, they're smeared for a loss. Calvin Hill, big Yale halfback, gains 5 yards on this play, but is really hit by Dartmouth sophomore safety Rick Wallach. The Big Green dominates the second half and drives to his score immediately. On this play, Reisowitz carries all the way to the 10 behind Hank Paulson's trap block. Mickey Beard sends 3 receivers deep before throwing a delayed pass to Paul Clungness. Clungness goes in for the score, and Bill Hay adds the extra point. On a new left-end trap play, Gene Reisowitz finds a big hole after taking a short toss from Mickey Beard. Beard then fakes a handoff to Clungness and throws to fullback Pete Walton for another first down. The Indians continue to roll, and a few plays later, Walton smashes over for the touchdown. Bill Hay's extra point makes it 28-13 for the Big Green. When Yale attempts a deep reverse play, Calvin Hill is hit first by Mike Mahan, then spilled by Norm Davis for a 10-yard loss. In the fourth quarter, Yale can still not get an attack started. When Doherty, the Eli quarterback, attempts a screen pass, it is covered perfectly, and he's dropped for a 13-yard loss. Dartmouth continues to confuse the Bulldogs with the belly option play. Beard rides the ball to Walton before pitching out to Clungness for a good gain. The Indians control the ball on simple plays during most of the fourth quarter, and the game ends with a first down deep in Eli territory. This game eliminates Yale from title contention, and the Indians are still in the fight to retain their championship. It's the big fall house party weekend, and the final home game for 18 members of the Dartmouth squad. The Indians waste no time as on the first play of the game, Beard fakes to Walton, then rolls out and fires to Randy Wallach for 25 yards. The starting all-senior backfield continues to function smoothly as Beard fakes to Walton, then keeps the ball for 11 yards himself. The next play works just the way it was diagrammed on the blackboard as Jim Mentor starts in motion, takes a pitch from Beard, and goes into the end zone with blockers to spare. Dartmouth 7-0. On Columbia's first running play, and Pete Lawrence stacks up the interference, he and halfback Gordy Rule throw the ball carrier for a loss. On first down, when the Indians next have the ball, Pete Walton busts off tackle for 10 yards. On the following play, Gene Reisowitz takes a toss from Beard and dances around end for 13 yards. Beard continues to mix his attack as on the next play he sprints out and passes to Reisowitz for another 12 yards. Gene Reisowitz then shifts to right half, but carries the ball back over left tackle behind the trap block of tackle Hank Paulson. Quarterback Mickey Beard throws to Bill Calhoun for another good gain, but the play is called back on a penalty. This doesn't stop the Dartmouth attack, however, as Mickey calls a different pass pattern, this time throws to Paul Clungness, breaking back across the middle. Paul is in the clear and goes all the way for the touchdown. Roverback Steve Luxford shoots as the ball is snapped. His rush, along with that of Bruce Smith and Pete Lawrence, throws the Lions quarterback for a 10-yard loss. Great pursuit by the Dartmouth defense prevents the Columbia left half from turning the corner. The ball is jarred loose by Rule and Hawken, and linebacker Bruce Smith recovers. Bill Sjogren traps the Columbia tackle, and Pete Walton pops through the center for 14 yards. Watch left guard Sjogren again as he pulls out wide, throws a perfect open field block when Beard fakes a pass and rambles for 9 yards. Beard fakes to Walton and gives the ball to Paul Clungness, who laterals back to Beard. Beard takes the bounce pass and goes in for the touchdown. On the first play of the second quarter, Norm Davis drops back from his linebacker spot and makes a fine interception. Just before the half, the starting team comes back in action. Beard fakes the quick trap play to Walton up the middle and pitches out to Reisowitz. Little Gene swivel hips his way for 45 yards before being brought down. On the next play, Beard again fakes to Walton. This time, however, he rolls out and throws to Bill Calhoun for the touchdown. Bill Hayes' extra point makes it 28-0 at the half. Gene Reisowitz had averaged better than 22 yards per carry in his 3 attempts during the first half. In the second half, he carries only once, running 20 yards for a touchdown, and it lowers his average for the day. The next time the Indians have the ball, it's given to Pete Walton on the fullback belly option play. Pete rumbles for 39 yards before being brought down. Beard passes to Walton for the touchdown, and the first team is retired for the day. Bill Hay adds his 27th straight extra point. Fullback Vic Chaltain breaks through center for 12 yards here. On the next play, senior quarterback Wally Bowman keeps the ball wide after faking off tackle, receives great downfield blocking as he races for 39 yards. The officials rule that his knee touched on the 1-yard line, but Bowman goes over for the score on the next play. Bill Hayes' conversion makes it 49-0. On a trap play, little sophomore halfback Bob Bennett shoots through for 12 yards and a first down, and in the closing minutes, Dartmouth's 5th quarterback Bill Kinchner throws a long pass to Bob Lundquist, good for a touchdown. Phil Davies' extra point makes the final score 56-14. Ivy League football proved to be as exciting as ever when, with only 2 weeks remaining in the season, Dartmouth, Cornell, Princeton, and Harvard were all tied for the league lead with just 1 loss apiece. It was Cornell's house party weekend, and since they'd never before had a chance for an Ivy championship, they were really inspired for this game. The Big Green team played one of its best games of the season on defense. Pete Larson, Cornell's great all-Ivy halfback shown with the ball on this play, was limited to about 3 yards per carry. Dartmouth roving back Steve Luxford blitzes to stop the Cornell fullback for a loss. Middle guard Mike Mahan and end Dan Cooperman then combine to spill halfback Ed Zack. Pete Larson, the Cornell star, is met in a smashing head-on tackle by Dartmouth's big junior linebacker Norm Davis. The Dartmouth defense continues to shine as Gordy Rule bats a pass away from the intended receiver, and Win Mabry intercepts on the 3-yard line. Mabry receives some great blocks as he brings the ball back for 41 yards before finally being stopped. When Dartmouth has the ball, Mickey Beard throws a delayed pass to Bill Calhoun, good for 10 yards. The first quarter is primarily a defensive battle, however, and ends in a scoreless tie. On this play, Dartmouth has Reisowitz at quarterback and Beard at right half. Mickey gets off a quick kick, good for 56 yards. Later, Cornell recovers a fumble on the 9-yard line. On third down, linebacker Norm Davis shoots through to spill the ball carrier for a loss, so Cornell is forced to settle for a field goal. The Big Green defense continues to stifle the Cornell ground attack as Pete Lawrence and Rick Wallach stop a pitch out to Larson for a loss. On the next play, Abel, the Cornell quarterback, throws a long bomb to Gervasi. The catch is made just before stepping out of the end zone, and the Indians now trail by 10 points. This seemed to be the stimulus the Dartmouth team needed, as after the following kickoff, it took the Big Green but 4 plays to cover the length of the field. On this play, Beard passed to Bill Calhoun for 15 yards. Mickey Beard, calm as ever under pressure, then drops back and throws to his other end, Randy Wallach, for a first down. The touchdown is made as Captain Bill Calhoun gets behind the Cornell secondary and takes a long pass from Beard in the end zone. Dartmouth trails 10-7 at halftime. Cornell scores first in the third quarter to take a 10-point lead again, but here Beard throws a pass to Calhoun. Calhoun laterals to Reisowitz, Reisowitz to Klungnes on a play that might have gone all the way if they'd had more room. On the next play, Beard rolls back and throws long to Captain Billy Calhoun. Calhoun outfights the Cornell defender and makes a great catch, good for 44 yards. Beard again receives fine protection as he calmly rifles a pass to Gene Reisowitz for the touchdown. Bill Hayes' kick brings the score to 17-13. When the Indians next have the ball, Beard continues his aerial barrage with another pass to Calhoun. Captain Calhoun made 8 key receptions in this game. Beard then laterals to Reisowitz on a running pass play. Metter is wide open downfield, but Gene can't get set to throw to him and is forced to reverse his field. He then picks out Beard and throws to him on a play good for 34 yards. Reiswitz leaves the game with a shoulder injury, but 2 plays later, his substitute Jim Metter makes a tremendous diving catch for a touchdown, and Dartmouth goes out in front for the first time 20-17 as the quarter ends. The Indian defense is now throwing back every Cornell attempt. Pete Larson is again stopped for a loss. The Indians are dominating the game as Mickey Beard throws a perfect pass to Paul Clungness on a play good for 61 yards. This was Mickey's 10th straight completion in the second half. Beard fakes to Metter, but keeps the ball and goes in for the touchdown himself, with guard Bill Sjogren throwing the key block. With a 9-point lead, it now appears that the Big Green is safely out in front. The fired-up Dartmouth team then makes a big mistake as they suddenly leave a huge gap in their eagerness to get downfield under the kickoff. Chris Ritter runs straight upfield, 98 yards for a touchdown. It was the first kickoff return for a score against the Indians in Coach Blackman's 12 years at Dartmouth. There are now 7 minutes, 41 seconds remaining in the game, and Dartmouth's offense controls the ball for all but the final 8 seconds. Here's Paul Clungness going off right tackle for 7 yards. Beard then throws a swing pass to fullback Pete Walton, good for a first down. After a series of consistent gains into the line that eat up the time as well as the yardage, Pete Walton bulls in for the touchdown with just 8 seconds remaining. Cornell is eliminated from the title race as Dartmouth wins 32-23 in a very courageous come-from-behind performance. The Dartmouth team flew to Philadelphia in a chartered airliner to play the final game of the season against the University of Pennsylvania in huge Franklin Field. Playing his final game for Dartmouth, Pete Walton, one of the fine fullbacks in the country, has a big day. On this play, he rolls for 34 yards, refuses to go down even when out of bounds. This opening drive was stopped by an interception, but Walton comes right back with another run that's almost a duplicate of the first to again put the Indians in scoring territory. Another big gain is made as Beard sends Clungness in motion, then throws to him for a first down. On the next play, Jim Metter smashes off tackle, but Beard has kept the ball and throws to Paul Clungness, who's wide open in the end zone. It's 7-0. The Quakers, unable to move on the ground, Bruce Smith shoots through to spill Cabot Knowlton for a yard loss. The next time the Indians have possession, a fake to Walton fools the defensive end, and Beard keeps for 9 yards. On the following play, Sjogren and Paulson open a hole as Walton blasts through for 13 yards. The Indians then use a little of their razzle-dazzle as Beard pitches to Metter, and Metter hands off to Lundquist on a double reverse play, good for 9 yards. It isn't anything fancy, but just plain solid blocking that springs Jimmy Metter loose for 18 yards. At the start of the second quarter, Metter carries the ball on the same play and receives great blocking as he fights his way for another 18 yards. Pete Walton plunges over for the score, and the Big Green goes ahead 14-0. The Dartmouth defense continues to stymie the Quaker ground attack as Davis, Smith, and Cooperman stop Knowlton at the line of scrimmage. When Penn attempts to take to the air, Steve Luxford drops back and makes a leaping interception, which is quickly turned into a touchdown. Beard rolls to the right, but then throws back to the left to Bob Lundquist, who makes a fine catch for 13 yards. On the next play, Beard again rolls out and throws to Lundquist, good this time for 14. Jim Metter hits off tackle and crashes in for the touchdown. Bill Hay again adds the extra point. And here's a Coach Bob Blackman fun play. Beard tosses to Metter. Metter hands off to Lundquist. Lundquist hands back to Beard, and Beard throws long to Bill Calhoun. This triple reverse pass just barely misses. Another new play is used as Beard fades to pass, then tosses a little two-hand push pass behind the line to Jim Metter. Jimmy makes use of some fine downfield blocking as he scrambles for 42 yards before finally being knocked out of bounds. At the start of the second half, Penn scores a quick touchdown, but Dartmouth comes right back. Here's a 9-yard smash by Lundquist. Pete Walton drives in for the score, his 20th career touchdown. Walton continues to tear the Penn line to shreds as he smashes up the middle for 9 yards. Bob Lundquist, seeing a lot of action in place of the injured Paul Clungness, hits into the line for a first down. Beard fakes the same play to Lundquist, but keeps the ball on his hip and bootlegs around end for 9 more yards. On the first play of the fourth quarter, Beard fakes to Walton, then gives to Lundquist, who hits through a big hole down to the 2-yard line. On the next play, Lundquist went over for a touchdown. Beard throws to Calhoun, who laterals to Mentor. Mentor is hit as he attempts to lateral to Lundquist. His toss is ruled a forward pass. Beard fakes a pass and comes back with a short shovel pass to Mentor. Pete Walton straight arms one tackler and drives for 17 yards before finally being brought down. In this game, Pete carried for 142 yards. This drive was stopped by a fumble on the 2, but when Penn gambles with a pass from punt formation, Sam Hawken intercepts and returns for a touchdown to make the score 40-21 for Dartmouth. Quarterback Bill Robb fakes to Vic Chaltain, then throws to Steve Adams. The Indians are again deep in Penn territory when the game comes to an end. Hanover is a small college town, and most of the year the Dartmouth campus is a very peaceful place. But during the fall season, football fever takes over. An interfraternity or interdorm touch football game is usually being played on the college green, even when the members of the freshman class are building the bonfire that traditionally takes place before every home game. This year, the class of 1970 decided prior to the Princeton game that they would break all previous records by building a fire a towering 70 tiers high. To the amazement of the upperclassmen, they achieved their goal. The night before each game, a big pep rally is held, and Coach Blackman introduces each of the players from the balcony of the Hopkins Center. It is this intangible element known as the Dartmouth spirit that helps to inspire the Big Green team to such great achievements. 1966 was the 11th straight winning season, and in 4 of the last 5 years, the Dartmouth Indians have either won or shared the Ivy League championship. The morning of a game, and visitors flock to town. Souvenirs of the game go on sale. The excitement continues to mount as the stands begin to fill. The Big Green comes charging onto the field, and Dartmouth's head cheerleader implores the students to get behind the team. Now, let's meet the players. Mickey Beard, senior, all-Ivy quarterback from Newton, Massachusetts, who ran and passed for a total of 41 touchdowns during his 3 varsity years. Roy Corky Johnson on the right, senior defensive tackle from Zion, Illinois, talking to Captain Bill Calhoun. Bill Hay, senior all-Ivy place kicker from Champaign, Illinois, who scored 81 points kicking in the past 2 seasons. Chuck Matuzik, senior, 2-year all-Ivy center from Fayetteville, New York. Bill Sjogren, senior, all-Ivy offensive guard from Swampscott, Massachusetts. Pete Walton, senior, all-Ivy and all-East fullback from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Gordy Rule, junior, defensive halfback from Chandler, Arizona. Skip Small, junior, offensive tackle from Dover, New Hampshire. Jim Eldridge, junior, defensive tackle from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tom Pyle, senior punting specialist from Washington, D.C. Win Mabry, senior, 2-year all-Ivy defensive halfback from Enid, Oklahoma. Norm Davis, junior linebacker from Sedro-Woolley, Washington. Bill Egling, senior defensive tackle from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Paul Clungness, senior offensive halfback from Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Mike Mahan, junior defensive middle guard from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hank Paulson, junior offensive tackle from Barrington, Illinois. Giff Foley, sophomore defensive tackle from Winnetka, Illinois. Bob Lundquist, sophomore offensive halfback from St. Paul, Minnesota. Jeff Norton, sophomore defensive tackle from Albany, New York. Randy Wallach, sophomore offensive end from Dixon, Illinois. And his twin brother, sophomore Rick Wallach, defensive safety man. Jim Mentor, senior offensive halfback from Stillwater, Minnesota. Denny McNeely, junior halfback from Santa Cruz, California. Bill Brandt, senior from Wethersfield, Connecticut, one of two defensive ends injured early in the season and out for the year. The other, Randy McElrath, junior from Syracuse, New York. Dan Cooperman from Chicago, Illinois, one of the two sophomores who had to take over the defensive end positions. The other, Pete Lawrence from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Bruce Smith, senior defensive signal caller and linebacker from Louisville, Kentucky, also captain of the baseball team. Another baseball star is Gene Reisowitz, junior offensive halfback from Springfield, Massachusetts. Captain Bill Calhoun, senior All-Ivy offensive end from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, one of three football players also on the lacrosse team. Bob McLeod, senior offensive end from Malibu Beach, California, who missed the latter part of the season with a knee injury. And Bill Robb, senior offensive quarterback from Columbus, Ohio. Sam Hawken, junior defensive back from Washington, D.C., who scored Dartmouth's first and last touchdowns of the season. Dan Graves, junior defensive back from Lamont, Pennsylvania. Small but mighty offensive guard Jerry Kirkpatrick, junior from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And captain-elect for 1967, roving linebacker Steve Luxford of McLean, Virginia. Now let's meet the Dartmouth coaching staff. This is Quentin Curry, freshman line coach. Elmer Lampe, veteran freshman end coach. John Curtis, who had a very successful season in his first year as head freshman coach. John Peter Kuski, defensive line coach. Bob Cassiola, defensive end and linebacker coach. John Anderson, offensive line coach. Jake Krauthamel, former Dartmouth star who is now defensive backfield coach. Earl Hamilton, offensive backfield coach. And head coach Bob Blackman, whose Dartmouth teams never have finished out of the upper division in the Ivy League and who now ranks third among all major college coaches in lifetime winning percentage. The Big Green fell just 6 points short of another undefeated season in 1966. With the loss of 18 lettermen, 1967 will be a year of rebuilding. With the Big Green's wide-open style of play, Dartmouth fans can look forward to another interesting season.